Hello everybody, today we're going to look at pause and stop buttons. This comes about in File Snatch because we kind of take an audio approach. So we have, like, down here you can see a play button, a pause button, a stop button. Just kind of makes you think of it more like you're playing a video or an MP3 or something like that. And the reason why I did that was just as it was more recognizable, as opposed to using something that said submit or something like that, because to an average user, I don't think they'd care, and I think they'd recognize this. But when you hit play, that just means do what you're supposed to do. So in other words, take users, David, desktop folder to get, and put it in the pudding folder, and then transfer all those files according to the way we set it up. So when I push the play button, what you'll see is a pause and a stop button that will activate momentarily while it's, quote, playing. But really, you're just saying start, and then this will be to stop it, the stop button, and pause will be to pause it, much like a video player or something like that. All right, so let's take a quick look behind the scenes. Now, I'm not going to take you on a full journey of this because this is probably some of my more sloppier coding. In fact, even this is kind of a rough way of doing it. I would not necessarily suggest it, but like I always say, sometimes you need to do this for the prototype. And sometimes what you put in the prototype ends up in the full version. The example we will not do. In this case, what we're going to do is a rough and dirty part. This is the actual working parts inside the C# as opposed to what's the glossy face on the GUI. So as you can see, we have a temp pause and a temp stop. I set them up somewhere else, and then I just constantly look at them. And now remember, we can write the C# in a way that the GUI operates at the same time as the other parts of the program. So what I'm doing is I'm constantly listening to the GUI and then passing this information in. Now for the temp pause, let's do that one. It'll listen to the temp pause, and if it's true, so in other words, you clicked it on, if you looked at that part of the coding, what I do is I just set up a Boolean and do an if-then. If it's on and you press it, it goes off. If it's off, you press it, it goes on, that sort of thing. Obviously, we also have some things where we want to make these things inert. In fact, if you look, you can't hit these initially because there's nothing. The play button has to go. So there's a lot of, a little bit of a spaghetti there where you have to make sure when one thing's on and another thing's off. That we'll probably get to in a later topic. But for here, what you'll see is I'm turning that temp pause, and I was constantly listening, and it record it. And then I go to a task delay 100, which is 1/10 of a second, and just make it wait. And those tasks are very nice. They're very simple. And it'll say wait for 1/10 of a second. And then 1/10 of a second will go. And then in the meantime, I'll have checked the GUI again to see if it's been depressed, the pause has been depressed or not. And in fact, let's show that real quick. So if I press this, I can hit pause right away, and as you can see, the pause stays active. You shouldn't be able to stop out of a pause, or at least I don't like that idea. And you can't push play again. Originally, I was wondering if I should make it push play again, but it actually comes out a lot easier in the programming to do it here. So I just put a little insignia underneath there that says click pause again to resume. So it's constantly listening, and it's delaying 1/10 of a second each time. So all these 1/10ths of a second add up to the seconds that I've just been talking to you. And then when I click on it, it'll hear that with the event listener and then allow it to come out of. So in other words, this becomes false up here, and then it'll come out, and then it'll stop pausing. The stop is very simple. Temp stop equals true, meaning if you hit the stop button, that's it. That's all you get. You're done. you've copied all that you're going to copy. So then you can just use a simple break. There's a very similar thing to this in other forms of C#, but the break has been along since since C# has existed. It's hard for me to say. So the break is just going to kick out of all these items that we're going through, and we're going through folders and files. So at the end, it will just stop, kick out, and we're done. And that's all that you need to do in this case. So if that's the case, we'll see you next time. Hey, if you like this video, please hit the like and subscribe button to our channel. This would help us out greatly. If you'd like to support us in other ways, our app is available for purchase at digitaltumult.com or the Microsoft Store. See the links below. We appreciate your support. Thanks.